Welcome to the Creepy Kingdom. We are all about the creepy side, theme parks, films, haunts, and everything in between. We create original films, live streams, vlogs, podcasts, and more. Hit that subscribe button to make sure that you always keep it creepy.
Hey, Creepy Kingdom, welcome. My name is James, and I am here speaking with the founder, creator, and altogether godfather of Spooky Empire, Petey. Petey, what's your last name? I never get it right.
Mongelli.
Mongelli. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're Italian.
I am definitely Italian.
Definitely Italian. But you're back from a world trip over in Ireland, huh?
Ireland, yeah, it was fun. Drinking a lot.
See a little bit of the world. Yeah.
Lots
Drinking
of
a lot.
pints. A lot of pints.
Lots of pints. I saw one with your face on it. That's fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
Very
that
cool.
was at the Guinness factory. It was kind of awesome.
Yep.
So.
I mean, it's one of those things you have to do. Very cool. So you're back working on the show. Like you said, 24 hours nonstop, getting ready, gearing up,
not sleeping. Yeah.
For the 20th anniversary of Spooky Empire. That's just got to feel amazing.
It's crazy. It's like, I remember like just thinking about that. I remember like there was another convention, Dragon Con and stuff that we went to, like, and it was like 20 years. I was like, oh my God, I can't even imagine, you know?
And in a blink of an eye, you're here doing it yourself.
Yeah.
Does it feel like 20 years? Are you tired?
We're definitely tired. Me and Gina are definitely tired. And you thought it would get easier, but it gets harder.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Gina, so you do this along with your lovely wife.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and you've got a really great crew that works for you as well.
Yeah. Kim's like semi full-time with us, and then we have a bunch of other staff. You can never, this show is way too big to do it by yourself. There's no way. Yeah.
And you've got a really good crew of volunteers too. Some people come back every year, some people try it to see if they like it.
Yeah. I believe we have like close to 100 volunteers that work on the show.
Yeah, and after a few years, I mean, I'm a little partial because I've been a part of that crew. It turns into a bit of a family, doesn't it?
Oh, it's definitely, that's where the Spooky family came along, as like a joke on the message boards. I remember like we used to have a message board. That's how long ago it was. And we had the guy from Texas Chainsaw Massacre at our show, and it said Saw is family. So I put Spooky is family on the thing, and that's how Spooky Family came about. But we actually really became a family.
Very much so, embraced it. I know that there's other groups and boards that are dedicated to attendees of Spooky Empire and people who meet and get together and chat about upcoming guests or who they'd like to see, or post chats about what happened at the Spooky and what they want to see for the next time. It's definitely become a culture.
Oh, definitely. And people getting tattoos and everything else. And they're wearing the shirts. They collect the Spooky t-shirts and everything like that, and all the collectibles that we put out every year. So
every year you have limited edition things like prints and artwork and tiki mugs.
Tiki mugs, and every like the posters are definitely like the silkscreen art posters, and the t-shirts. The t-shirts are the number one. I think
absolutely.
Out of 20 years, we probably sold about 18,000 t-shirts.
I have bought my share. I understand that completely. And sometimes I've gone back to get mine on the last day and they're gone. So
yeah, we've been selling out. Like usually by Saturday morning, we're sold out of most of the event shirts.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's cool.
So you started this back in the day, 20 years ago, coming out of working in the rock and roll arena.
Yeah.
Yep. And Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson kind of inspired you to get into this?
So when I was thinking about doing these conventions, because I used to go to toy conventions a lot, and I wanted to put on a rock and roll convention. I was like, I have all these friends, maybe they could come and do like autograph signings, and we could do it kind of like the Kiss conventions, but do it as a rock and roll convention. And rock and roll was like it was dead at the time. Nobody cared about it. People weren't buying CDs anymore because they were downloading music, and bands weren't touring anymore. And I was like, but there was two bands that were doing pretty good, and they were jumping into the horror thing. And it was Marilyn Manson and Rob Zombie, and they were doing movies and doing all these great horror things and everything. And I was like, well, if they're doing it, why not I do it? And that's how that all came together.
So do you remember who your first guests were who really kind of cemented this for you?
Well, our first headliner was Gunnar Hansen, who was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He was
Okay.
our first headliner. But the first people to be a guest, to, like, put the show together was my friend Gidget, who was the bass player for Marilyn Manson, and then my other friend Joey Image, who was the drummer for the Misfits. So they were like my
Wow.
first guest to like pitch to other celebrities to say, hey, do you want to do this? And it wasn't that easy. The internet wasn't, it was brand new, the internet back then.
Right.
I hate to tell you, 20 years ago, the internet wasn't what it is today.
So it was basically word of mouth, right?
It was word of mouth and trying to find these guests. So we'd go through white pages looking for these guests, you know, like, oh, I think Friday the 13th was filmed here. Maybe they
Right.
live over there. So we would look up, you know, who they were and stuff like that. We'd randomly call up people. Hey, were you the guy who played in this movie? You know,
So a little private investigation you had to
yeah.
do, huh?
Would you like to do a convention in Florida? And then you had to like, explain what it is. Well, it's kind of like a baseball card show, but you guys are the celebrities, not baseball celebrity, you know? So
So it's kind of a pioneer in your time of this whole genre.
oh yeah, there was really not too many horror conventions out there. When we started, there was like Chiller Theater in New Jersey, which everyone compared us to. They're like,
Of
"Oh, you
course.
Chiller Theater South," and I would have to always go, "Yeah," you know. So there was Chiller Theater. There was this show called Horrified, which was awesome. It was in Baltimore, and it was a really great show. And I kind of like took a lot of what they were doing and put it into what Spooky Empire is today. And then there was Fangoria. Fangoria did a convention, and there was something in Chicago called Flashback Weekend, which is still around too. So that was it. There was no horror conventions like now. There's one every weekend. You
Oh
know?
yeah. Yeah. So you built everything from the ground up. Do you think word of mouth from the celebrities have gotten around to where, you know, once you go ahead and ask, they already know what you're talking about?
Oh, absolutely. That was we got our name out big time because I was an old rock and roll guy, so I would hand out flyers, and I'm
Oh
talking
yeah.
about when handing out flyers. We handed like hundreds of thousands of flyers out for each show. We'd put posters and banners and everything, so word of mouth got out crazy, and I would go all over to like all these other like Star Trek conventions and you know, like Comic Cons and stuff like that, and just hand out my flyers saying, "Hey, I'm Spooky Emperor, I'm PD, blah blah blah," and that's how it all
Pounding the
got
pavement.
started.
And you still do. You still are found all over Spooky Empire during the weekend. It's not like you're holed up in an office somewhere just enjoying the fruits of your labor. You're on the ground floor, checking in with people, meeting people. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
you kind of got a rock star status when you're out there. You hear people calling your name everywhere.
yeah. I mean, I shake hands, I kiss babies. I mean,
Yeah. Shake
I do.
babies, kiss hands.
Yeah, I do the whole. Yeah, I do everything. I hang out and drink with everybody at nighttime. You know, sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. You know,
You do have a
depends how
reputation
drunk
for
I am.
being a DJ at the pool parties.
I DJ on Saturday night for an hour, and I even like when I'm setting up the show, I'll move tables. I'm the guy putting it all together. I'm organizing it all and stuff like that when we're
Your name
actually
on the
there.
product, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So, okay, Spooky Empire is the dark side of Comic Con. It's
yeah,
rock and roll inspired. It's pop culture. It's horror. It's anything that's a little bit alternative, dark, and spooky. That's kind of how I sell it, correct?
yeah. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
It's like you should have me do these things.
Yeah,
But I love also too is that it's also family inspired. Not only the spooky family, but I brought my kids since they were little and they've grown
yeah.
up in the industry. Your daughter as well has come up
Yeah,
every
she
year. We
will.
see her.
That was very important when we started because when we started, everyone was like, "Oh, Spooky Emperor, that's scary." And I was like, "No, it's
Right,
not that scary," you know. And
right.
we made that a family thing because those other horror conventions that I'm talking about was very adult, you
Okay.
know. And we kept, I tried my best to keep the, you know, like the the X-rated stuff out of it. It's snuck in a lot. Now we have porn stars that are guests now, and but
Hey, she was in a horror movie.
I kept that out of the show for many, many years, you know, to keep that, kid friendly show.
I still think if people want to have an adult element, there is if they want it, but they're definitely kid friendly. Having the kid zone, having the voice actors for cartoons that they know and
Yeah,
love, that's
yeah.
been the coolest thing for me for my kids for sure. And then for them to meet celebrities and then find out who they are later on down the road when they discover their movies. They're like,
Oh,
"Oh, I've met that guy."
oh yeah, that is
That's
funny.
it's very fun connection. My daughter has met, John Cusack, had no idea who he was, and then she got to
Yeah.
see all the John Hughes movies,
Yeah.
and oh, I've met that guy, and the people from
I thought
Scream.
Danny Trejo was funny because
Yeah,
he played with my daughter at the show, and then she saw him in all these movies after that. Oh my
yeah,
God. Yeah.
yeah. Matthew Lillard's the same way. He was playing with my daughter all weekend. I have video of him
Yeah.
dancing with her, and now she's teenager getting into Scream, and she's like, "Oh my God, I danced with him!" So that's the coolest
Yeah.
thing is that we can get up close and personal with the celebrities at Spooky. Is
Yeah.
that important to
Absolutely.
you?
It totally was. That's why we came up with the concept of the party atmosphere. I always wanted to make it like you were backstage at a Motley Crue concert. That's what the Wyndham was all about. Like that, those pool parties were like spring break meets backstage at a Motley Crue concert.
Oh, and it is.
And that's what that was all about. Like, and the celebrities started really loving that, so that's why they wanted to come to Spooky Empire, because that was a place where everybody could hang and meet people. And then there was that element of meeting people where, like, we're getting at a different age now that you don't want to go to a bar and meet somebody, but like at Spooky Empire you get to meet people, and people got married and had babies and all kinds of crazy stuff because of Spooky Empire.
Yeah, and it happens twice a year, so it very much so is a family reunion. You don't see these people all year. You might see them on Facebook or talk to them on social media, but then we
Yeah.
come back and we see the same people. And like you said, the families grow. The costume contest I've been lucky enough to host for the past few years.
Yeah, which
I've
is
seen the
incredible.
same families come back with the kids bigger or,
Yeah.
growing into the adult categories, and it's really neat to see the progression of
And
things.
also the show, like, just talk about the costume contest. I remember it was so hard to actually get a costume contest started. And I always didn't understand. I was like, we run a Halloween convention. Why doesn't people dress up? That was a very hard thing to get people to cosplay at our show. It wasn't like it is now.
Yeah,
it was very difficult to get those people to dress
because
up.
it wasn't as accepted.
No, it wasn't when we started, and it was only a an anime thing or something like that, or
Right.
and and the horror people just wore the black t-shirts and stuff. But
Right.
then slowly people started dressing. Now everyone dresses up, you know?
I think a lot of that, like you said, has to do with the internet as well, because not only do we see what other people are doing and feel comfortable enough to do it ourselves or challenged to do something fun like that, but the accessibility of things to get to do those things. And that's another thing I love at Spooky are the classes that you can start doing for like the special effects makeup, and you can meet
Yeah.
the people behind all the things that make spooky, creepy horror things come to life.
Well, that's also important. Like, everyone's like, "Oh, why don't you get this actor and this actor and this actor?" And that's great, and that's who brings people through the door. But like, where does it all start? It starts out like independent films. That's what all horror movies start. And we have an amazing film festival that's attached to our show. And in the special effects makeup classes, how do you think that's where it all starts? And that's what the one thing about Spooky Emperor, it has everything. It's a little bit of everything.
I love that
And
you have authors too, because that's
yeah,
where everything starts is with the story.
the story. So the authors, there's a whole author panels and stuff like that. And, that's also a cool thing to do if you ever want to write a book. And this is a place where you can pitch it and sell it. It's not just, oh, I'm going to get an autograph from the guy from this movie, or,
Right.
Nightmare on Elm Street or this or that. You the whole genre. And that's the one thing about Spooky Emperor. You come on Thursday, you check in, you put your bag down, and then you don't leave until Sunday. You know,
And you don't sleep.
and you don't sleep. You don't need to sleep.
There's something going on every minute of every day, whether it's in
Yeah.
the convention area or people having parties in their rooms, by
Yeah.
the poolside, hanging out.
Mhm.
Another thing I really love about Spooky, and something I think you can attest to as well, is that the celebrities that do come to meet and greet, not only is it sometimes the celebrities' first times ever doing cons, but sometimes we get actors who it's their last time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's their last hurrah. which sometimes sucks. you know
Yeah, but it is really nice for attendees to be able to say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I met them at that time."
Yeah, yeah. There's also guests that like sometimes they're like, "Oh, why does that guest come every year?" Well, first of all, they're part of our spooky family, and
Alex Vincent. Yep.
Alex Vincent, but Rico Brana was one of those guys,
Oh, Riku, yeah.
and everyone's like, "Why do you have Rico Brana?" I go, first of all, he's a legend. He's the creature of Black Lagoon.
Yes.
And we were so fortunate to have him all the time at our show. Not everybody can have that. And
He was
we were very
lovely to meet
fortunate.
with. Yeah.
Yeah. And we had, I mean, he's a legend, the creature of Black Lagoon,
Yeah, the
legendary.
merchandise and marketing for that now has gone through the roof.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So what I was saying about the people who've done the con for the first time, whereas they wouldn't do regular conventions. Why do you think they feel like Spooky's a good platform for them to be at?
I, I was talking to somebody just today, another promoter, how like it's very important that these agents put their celebrities in a show like Spooky Empire or GalaxyCon or MegaCon or something that's really good, that they go, oh my God, this is a great con. When you put them in another con, they might never do another show again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're coming down to about 8 minutes left. Let's go over the highlights for this year, the 20th year. What's gonna make it bigger and better than it has been before?
I think what makes it bigger and better is there's just more. It's more, and more. And it still has that same Spooky Empire family feel, but it's just massive. We're taking over the whole Hyatt Regency from start to finish. When you get there, you're gonna be like, holy cow. It's just from like the film festival to we have 120 tattoo artists going to be there. We have 300 vendors that are going to be there. We're going to have like 70 celebrity guests. There's going to be makeup artists. There's going to be authors. There's going to be, there's 3 stages that are going to be going on at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, usually we have 2 at the big show. This year we have 3 stages. We got a goth room. We got
live music.
There's going to be goth music. We brought in this really great DJ that we'll be announcing very shortly. We have a haunted house. I think that's our first. We've never had a haunted house at Spooky Empire before.
You have the celebrity Q&As. You have
celebrity Q&As, which are always amazing and stuff like that.
Movie and TV cars people bring.
Yep. We got cars. I think we got 3 or 4 cars that are going to be there. You got the Ghostbusters. You got live music. You got DJs. You got, everything. It's just nonstop. It's to put this whole thing together. It's just like, it's crazy.
You have to plan like the day after this one ends for the next year.
Actually, we're already putting together next year's thing, and we have a big announcement for next year that we might be doing another show. So hold on for a good, yeah.
So. Okay. So give me your dream guest that you pie in the sky. If they said yes, your day would be made.
I hate doing this because if another promoter sees this, they're going to go after that person. And I've probably been working on a couple of people for a long time. But
okay, so what's the one that gets requested the most? How about that?
Rob Zombie, which I would love to have.
Sure.
My personal, and I know like I would get this person probably before other people, is probably Paul Stanley from Kiss. I would love Paul Stanley. I would actually try my best to do the Q&A for that one. Because
I'll coach you.
I would be like, because there's reasons why I don't do Q&As there, but I would really love to do that one. I don't know if I could, but I would attempt to. But yeah, those are, dream guests and stuff like that. And but there's people we've been working on for 20 years that we haven't gotten yet, So
right. Who's your biggest get so far that you were so excited about that got the best response?
That's hard to say. I don't know. I mean, because I remember the first time we got Robert Englund. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, the lines for him are amazing.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, he put us from here to here. I remember him and Elvira. You remember Elvira?
Yep, she'll be there again this time.
People were sleeping out I mean, we had her one time that people were sleeping out. I was like, oh my God. And I'm not talking about 2 people. I'm talking about
No
100
lines.
people were
Yes.
sleeping out that Thursday night to get in for
I love
Friday.
the reunion panels. I love the reunion panel. My first one, I did Fright Night, which was one of my first horror movies. So that was
Yeah.
amazing. I love talking to people and seeing how they interact and the camaraderie after they haven't seen each other for 20 plus years. And they all come back on stage and they tell their stories and they tell the audience things that you'd never know otherwise than being in that Q&A.
I was really excited about the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory people.
Yeah.
I don't know if that got that good of a response, but I loved it. That was like one of my favorites. The VIP party was awesome because it had the cake, and that
Yes.
cake was just amazing. It had like a chocolate fountain that came
Yes.
through,
Yes.
the cake, the Oompa Loompas holding up. Like it was crazy. Yeah.
So the VIP experience will include the VIP party, and there's other perks, and they can get all that information online at the website, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The VIP party, that's something that's really unique because it's private to only VIP people, you know, and the celebrities do stop by and you can get pictures with most of them. Most of them will let you take pictures with them.
Right.
And then you get these giveaways, which are awesome, you know, and it's
A lot of
also
autograph stuff. Yep.
it's like 3 hours of just relaxed away from the mayhem of craziness, you know.
Yes.
So the
For a
party's
select
more,
few.
it's kind of like a wedding kind of for
A
horror
little reception, a little after
Yeah.
party.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
kind
I
of
got that.
it's kind of set up like that. So like you do get to talk to people and get pictures, and people are dressed up, and you get a cooler picture than someone at a table, or
Right.
you know.
I've hung out with a few celebrities at the VIP parties. It is a fun way to just kind of chat and get to know them.
Yeah, and also it gives me time to meet the fans. I relax myself there, and I just go around talking to everybody, and
You enjoy all your hard work.
yeah,
Yep.
that's like, I think that's when I start relaxing Saturday night
Yeah.
at the VIP party. That's like when you start mellowing down, you know. So,
Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to spookyempire.com for any tickets, all the information, all the guest announcements, hotel information. Are the blocks of rooms still available?
they are selling out. VIP is very close to selling out. Like it'll probably be next week. It'll be sold out
Does
probably.
every year. Yep.
And the hotels are getting close too. So get your rooms if you're gonna get a room.
Because it's worth it just to stay there all weekend.
And then what else? Everything else, like weekend passes should be fine. I mean, we did sell out of Saturday tickets on the last show. So, you know.
And you can find out information about photo opportunities for the celebrities online as well.
That will be coming soon, probably in the next couple of weeks. Yes.
One thing I always like to tell people is that Spooky Empire does not set the prices for the celebrities' autographs or photo ops. That is all come from the celebrities, and we never know what the pricing is until the show because they set the prices.
Yeah, and we did that a couple of times, and if it's not in their contract, we do not do that because sometimes they'll change their price.
Okay, before we leave, give me one tip that you should share with everybody that they need to know.
Buy the weekend pass, go the entire weekend. Don't go for just one day. You miss so much.
Yeah.
Go Thursday to Sunday and have a good time. And forget all the stress you have in your life. Forget about your job. Forget about this. Forget about everything. Just go there and have a good time. That's my,
That's what we're planning on doing. And give me the dates. October.
You got them. I know it's Halloween weekend.
27th through the 29th.
27th, 28th, 29th. Yes.
Yeah. Sounds good. So celebrate Halloween with Spooky Empire's 20th anniversary at the Hyatt Regency here in Orlando. SpookyEmpire.com. Petey, thank you so much.
Awesome.
We'll see you then.
All right.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
Thank you for watching, and thank you to our sponsors and Patreon producers for making this video possible. Hit the subscribe button so the creepy fun never has to end. This is Hannah reminding you to keep it creepy.